Welcome to another edition of Octagon Circles and Squares, an NBC Sports podcast covering the cage, the mat, and the ring. Today we are previewing UFC 324, the first Paramount fight card coming up this weekend, and what better way to do so than to welcome on part of the big co-main event. Sugar Sean Malley joins the show right now. Sean, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're busy, man. We appreciate the time, so we'll get right into it. This camp so far, your last two fights, the first camp you were battling injury, got surgery right after. And then it felt like you really jumped right back into it in that second fight, probably quicker than other guys would have. Does this feel like the first normal camp you've had in a while? If so, like how's it feeling right before 324?
Yeah, definitely. You definitely jumped in too quick to another camp right off of surgery, but it is what it is, and yeah, had a great camp. This camp, it was different training for primarily a striker than just full on just Merab grappling machine. It was a little bit different, but camps they're always challenging, and had a good camp.
Before we hit on your upcoming fight here, I want to go back to Merab's last fight at the top of this division. Pretty shocking to see Peter really kind of handle Merab in that way. When you were watching that fight, what were your biggest takeaways? Were you surprised just like the rest of us? Were you expecting that? Or what were your thoughts watching the fight at the top of this division here?
A little bit of both. I'm like, I know what Peter Yan's capable of. He's, in my opinion, one of the pound for pound best fighters in the UFC. So I wasn't like super surprised, but I also was because how well Merab was, looking, how good he was looking, and so yeah, a little bit of both. Fighting four times in a year definitely plays a little bit of a role in that, I would say. But I also think Peter was just the better man that night.
Is there any extra pressure? Because you alluded to it, like you get your hand raised Saturday. Like, I mean, you got to be in that title shot against Jan again. Is there extra pressure knowing that? Or is that something you're just really chomping at the bit for? What is your mental state knowing that that's on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, Merab's asking for a rematch, defended the belt, or had four title fights last year. He's very well deserving of a rematch. So if that's what the way they go, that's the way they go. Obviously, I'll take the Peter Ayan title fight 100%. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see. If they go the Merab route, I'll sit back, wait, and chill out, and see how that fight plays out.
If you were to match up against Jan, it's been several years since your last fight with him. This version of Jan that looked much more improved, like what were the holes you saw in that game, if any? Because like it was a pretty impeccable performance against Merab.
Yeah, none. I rewatched the fight, and there wasn't really any holes in his game. He fought a perfect fight.
I don't want to talk too much about that. You got a tough test this weekend. Let's talk about Song here. Great striker versus striker matchup with his Sanshao kickboxing background. What are some parts of his game that you have to respect going into this, and where are the holes that you think you can exploit on the way to a W?
Yeah, he's powerful and fast. Speed. He has a lot of the same attributes I have. We're very fast, both hit hard, but we have different styles. So it's going to be an interesting one. Definitely respect his abilities. So you got to be in there. I got to respect his power and his speed, and I got to be focused for 15 minutes.
You mentioned, I think during the fight week interviews that this is a pretty huge year with the White House card and the possibility of you maybe getting on that. With the fact that this is now on Paramount, and the public perception is much more accessible with no more pay-per-views, like it feels like you could really hit another level of stardom if you rifle off a bunch of wins. Like, have you ever thought about that and hitting like another gear with the Paramount deal and in like what's new with the sport right now?
But man, it feels like it just feels like it's the right time. For the I feel like I was on a rocket ship, and coming off the last fight, slowed down a bit. But I think what better way to reshoot the rocket ship than switching over to Paramount and getting a beautiful performance. So yeah, 100%. It's a thought. I want to go out there and continue to grow the Sugar brand.
Speaking of that, I saw the insane production for your face off with Song in the Paramount house. Could you talk about just like how different that was? Does it feel like you were saying, like it's up to another level as far as the viewership and stuff, just knowing the camera work and production they're putting behind this now?
I mean, yeah, there hasn't been too much different. That was definitely a little bit different. Beautiful. It was a beautiful setup production, and they've been spending a lot of money on advertising. You're seeing it all over on commercials and billboards, and it's definitely there's a lot of money being spent. on the advertising and promotion of this fight.
You mentioned last year, not the year you wanted with the 2 losses. However, you did say that there was a lot of positives to take away in your life outside of the octagon, a lot of good stuff with your family. And, you got the new house. Is that done yet? The new house on the farm? I think I saw some video that was coming along pretty well. Where are
Yep.
you at mentally in this fight? And I guess not even just within the cage, but outside of it, heading into this weekend.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to head into a fight when everything is going well. Everything is going good. Everything, all the outside stuff is dialed in, and when you're able to just accept whatever happens, that accept whatever outcome it is. Like, I'm gonna go home, and I know that I have peace and happiness at home. Whether win or lose. So I think that's a powerful thing for me.
I think you mentioned your daughter. This is her first time watching you fight in person, Elena, right? Can you just
Yep.
talk about that specifically, like what that means to you having your little girl there ringside for this one?
Yeah, I'm super excited for her to go out there and watch. The last time she watched on TV, she called me right after and said, "Why'd you lose?" So she's very aware of what's going on. She does jujitsu, she understands, and it's gonna be fun to have her there, and she's gonna have a great time.
Knowing you got a lot of big stuff in your family life, out in the farm and outside of the cage, already really storied career. Just stepping back from 1,000-foot view, after this year, looking forward, what's the future for Sugar Sean O'Malley? You have a successful podcast. You're really great with the media. Is that an avenue? How much longer are we going to be lucky to see you fight in the cage?
Man, only time will tell. It's an interesting conversation. Is like, when should fighters be done? And I don't want to go too soon, but I don't want to go too late. So it's just kind of a gut feeling. I think I'm gonna have to figure it out when that time comes. But I could have 1 more year. I could have 5 more years. Depends how the body holds up. Really, it's like my body's healthy and I'm able to go out there and train with these young guys and be able to get through hard practices, and I'm gonna keep going. But once that slows down, I'm gonna have to really think about it.
My final question, just along those lines, what other bucket list things do you feel like you have to do in the sport left to really feel fulfilled? I mean, obviously the White House card's probably one of them, but is there anything else that you have to check off that you want to do before you hang them up?
No, I mean, I think once you get the belt, it's you feel pretty solidified, and I don't think you ever. There's always going to be something next, like win the belt again, defend the belt, defend it one more time. Make break this record, break that record. There's always going to be something you can chase, but yeah, no, I definitely would like to get the mindset right now is get the belt back, and that's what's kind of motivating me and driving me.
That'll do it for this edition of Octagon Circles and Squares. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe to this channel for the latest combat sports news. Until then, enjoy the fights. We'll see you next time.